Raucous. Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
What is up, guys? Your King of Night, Vincent Valentine EX Turk, and I'm doing way better than I was a week ago. I'm doing so good that I'm going to be making a video. Well, another fan theory just heading your way. So, let's get down to business. I'm kind of using different music than just Final Fantasy music like this, so, again, copyright not intended, because this is just for, video and, YouTube stuff. Just YouTube stuff. Anyways, let's get started. Was Vincent Valentine ever known as a villain in the Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy VII or Final franchise lore? I'd have to say yes or no. No on the fact that he wouldn't be doing anything knowingly if it was evil, because Vincent is an upright character who hates social evils. Again, if I could compare Vincent Valentine to a comic book character, he'd be the Punisher, pretty much. He hates social evils with a passion. So, but there's also the fact that he joined up with the Turks. And if anyone knows anything about the Turks are a Shinra organization. But it's just like it is with Cloud, Zack, and all the other characters that's joined up with Shinra before, because Shinra didn't show their true intentions until Crisis Core, but they have showed their true intentions a couple of times before that, such as the supposed death of Lucretia Crescent. The birth of Sephiroth is one of the examples that Shinra is pretty much done evil, because, well, President Shinra did fund Hojo's research, and Hojo abused the crap out of Lucretia Crescent, and Vincent was working for a company that supported that. So technically, not knowingly, Vincent would be considered a villain in that point of time when he was working for the Turks, because, well, it doesn't matter what role you actually play. A social evil is still a social evil. But even though he didn't knowingly, he wanted to be like his father, a scientist for Shinra. That's what his goal was, but he ended up being placed in the Turks instead. But nonetheless, it's like, the thing is, yes, technically, he'd be a villain considering the fact he was with the Turks, and the Turks are part of a Shinra-based organization, and because it's a Shinra-based organization, technically, yes, even if you have good motives, just like Sung was. Yeah, Sung, kind of fishy to me, but because of the whole Eris thing, but Sung was a good guy, too, in the Turks. Even wanted to save Zack, even though that'd be going against his orders. But if you still kind of work in a bad organization like Shinra, technically you gotta pay for the crimes. There's a good reason why Vincent would say that he's slumbering in the coffin, because he thought it was his fault of what happened to Lucretia or Lucretia, whatever you want to call them. But the reason why Vincent thinks he needs to be punished is that that's also the fact he believes himself to be a bad guy for working with Shinra. For being pretty much working with an organization that's okay with funding research that killed his fiance, well, at least put his fiance on permanent life support, and that's that Crystal. Of course, he'd feel guilty about that, and understandably, you kind of would. I guess that could be part of the reason why he thinks he sinned. It wasn't just only the fact he stayed back and watched, but he feels bad. But I think Vincent Valentine feels bad because the research that the organization pretty much was okay with doing research that would knowingly hurt Lucretia and the infant, which is Sephiroth. He knows that he was working with an organization, and his orders were to just let it happen, because President Shinra has funded Hojo to do this, and because of that, that's why Hojo was not stopped. The only time Hojo would have been stopped is when Vincent was going to report to President Shinra he's been using innocent civilians, which caused Hojo to snap, and then Hojo killed Vincent, and Lucretia brought Vincent back alive. But that's also part of the one sins that Vincent was actually referring to in the game. It's also the fact he was working with an organization, and that's what would explain why he joins up with Avalanche later with Cloud. And then it would explain why when Reeve offered him a job as one of WRO, because WRO is actually originally a Shinra branch organization created by Reeve after Reeve broke off with Shinra. You know, Vincent was like, no, I don't want nothing to do with you or your kind. Because Vincent Valentine currently hates Shinra. Anything that has anything to do with Shinra, he's disgusted at, because Shinra was the company that pretty much harmed his fiance. And even though she was married to Hojo afterwards, they were engaged before. And, you know, I mean, honestly, you would feel like an ass being part of that organization. In fact, you would end up trying to be like Vincent and try to get revenge and destroy the organization. And that's why he joins up with Cloud and Avalanche. Because he sees the same... Vincent Valentine sees the same eyes. He sees the same eyes in Cloud. The same eyes he has in Cloud. Because, you know, Vincent Valentine is a smart character. He's very intelligent, you know. Being part of a Turk and stuff like that. He probably saw that in Cloud's eyes that they wronged Cloud. In fact, when Vincent helped Cloud figure out the truth alongside Tifa, you know, Vincent started to see that Cloud is pretty much a lot like Vincent. Because, you know, how Cloud lost Zack to Shinra. Cloud lost his only friend, his only mentor, and pretty much his only older brother to the company he was working for. And Vincent could sympathize with that, and that's why Vincent joined up with Cloud, because he sympathized with everything Shinra has done, and that they figured out the company that they were working for in their past lives were actually the evil force that they've been trying to fight all along. And Shinra is a pretty messed up company. They do messed up stuff. They're very shady. They're a very shady organization, you know. They do human experimentation. They're pretty evil. They're anti-poor, anti-poor or anti-weak. So the question is, was Vincent Valentine ever a villain in the Final Fantasy series? Yes, when he was the Turks, but ignorantly. You know, very ignorantly. Have you ever heard the road? Let's see, hell. What is it called? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Even though he wanted to become a scientist and a successful scientist like his father, even his father didn't know that the company that he was working for was actually the bad guys all along. Which is exactly why people should get into Final Fantasy VII for sure, because, well, it shows you the corporations are pretty much the evil power that they are. And that there is no such thing as ethical multi-billion-dollar corporations that are ethical. You know, but in terms to end this and not extend this video further than it's already gone to, yes, Vincent Valentine has been a villain, only in the past. When he joins up with Avalanche, he gets the redemption he seeks. In fact, the Dirge of Cerberus game, the one that's after the Avid Children movie, that's when he feels. That's why Vincent Valentine smiles and says thank you to Lucretia, because Lucretia redeemed Vincent, because Vincent was able to control chaos, you know, which is a being of darkness, and, you know, Lucretia helped Vincent realize it wasn't his fault for anything that happened. And I think when Vincent defeated his stepbrother, or supposed stepbrother, Vice, and defeated Hojo a second time, he's felt like he's redeemed himself. Like, he feels like he's redeemed himself completely. And Vincent Valentine's journey is about redemption. His story arc's all about redemption. Getting redemption for, you know, being part of an organization that commits illegal crimes under the table and illegal human experimentation. So Vincent Valentine's story arc is a complex one because it's more than just a Punisher type of story arc because he lost things, but it's also for him to get redemption for being part of the evil that Shinra was. And that's why he feels better at the end of Dirge of Cerberus and says thank you to Lucretium, smiling. But he also thanks, Avalanche, because Avalanche is the one who pulled him out of the slumps and told him they had to move ahead. And because of that, he's always stuck to that philosophy. And you know what? We all face trials in our lives, just like I faced my trials last week. And all we gotta do is move ahead. So may the crystal be with you. And the lesson here is, all we gotta do is move ahead and make better choices in our lives.
Yo, Percocet, yeah. Miley Percocet, Percocet, yeah. Miley Percocet, rep the set, yeah. Gotta rep the set, gang, gang. Chase a chick, never chase a bitch, chase no bitch.